And welcome everybody. This is a video about my experience running my very first marathon. And there will be 5 main chapters. Feel free to skip around if you want. 1, the decision to run said marathon. 2, the tracking and training of my training. 3, the gear. 4, nutrition. And 5, the actual race day. The marathon, 26.2. And if at any point within this YouTube video you are at all enjoying this video, go ahead and like it. If you're feeling real crazy, go ahead and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. All right, first, the decision. Why in the world does one decide to run a marathon? Great question. Mine is fairly simple. I turned 30 and decided instead of getting older, I wanted to get younger. Let me go on. After turning 30, I decided I wanted to do one cool, interesting, adventurous, unconventional thing every year. So for my first year, you guessed it, a marathon. And I'm not really a runner. Here's my quick history of my running career. COVID-19 hit. I don't know if you remember that whole thing. And I felt like I needed to get outside, so I started running. But I always felt kind of like this, not so much like this. But I figured it was because I wasn't, really putting in the time and training. So I asked around for the best beginner marathon. I wasn't looking for any crazy elevation. I didn't want to run in the intense heat. And someone recommended to me the Long Beach Marathon. Without doing a whole lot more research, I signed up. I wasn't setting any outlandish goals. I just wanted to complete my first marathon. The decision was made. I picked my marathon. I was all signed up, but I needed to pick out a training plan and how I wanted to track said training plan. After a good amount of research, I found 3 main plans that people seem to choose from. The Nike Marathon Training Plan, Hanson's Marathon Method, and Hal Higdon's Ultimate Training Guide. I chose Hal Higdon's Novice 1 Training Method. Here's the site, and there's even a running app. I think it's called Run with Hal, clever name, that you can sign up for as well. I pretty much took the plan, altered it slightly for myself in an Excel doc, and called it good. All right, that was my training plan, but how do I track this plan? Specifically meaning, how do you log it? How do you track the hours, mileage, pace? Well, we live in the 21st century, so we have these cell phones with the ability to download a slew of different apps. Again, doing research, talking with friends, I narrowed down 3 running apps: the Under Armour running app, the Nike running app, and Strava. And once again, saving the best for last, Strava wins it for me. And honestly, I just love the interface and the fact that you can communicate and have community with your friends on it. Okay, chapter 3, gear. Everyone loves buying gear for a new hobby. If you say you don't, you're lying. But before chapter 3, the gear, I want to pause real quick just to highlight how amazing and spoiled I got with training. If you're on this page, you may or may not know, but we actually live in a van. So my training was figuratively and literally on the road. Here are just a few of the amazing, scenic, beautiful landscapes that I got to run through. So you get the point. And this one makes me feel like this is like a Forrest Gump kind of vibe. Gets to the ocean, turns around, just keeps running. So again, very spoiled by where I got to run during my training. Okay, back to the gear. Starting from the ground up, shoes. I trained with 2 pairs of shoes. First being Saucony Guides. I would use those for my shorter runs. And then Ultra Paradigms for my longer runs and what I actually wore on marathon day. Also, all of the links to the gear is down below in the description. And you can't forget socks. You can, it would just be really painful. My favorite socks are Balegas. Really, any sock from this brand is choice. Next, shorts. I got a pair of Brooks running shorts and have absolutely loved them. They have small pockets around the back of the waistband for your goos and electrolytes, and then have a place for your phone on the right side within the spandex, so it doesn't move around at all. I also got a matching hat because fashion matters. Nah, I just really like this hat. Keeps the sweat out of my eyes and fits great. Smaller, but just as important, these are the headphones I use. I have nice Bluetooth headphones, but the charge doesn't last as long as I need them to, and they tend to fall out. So back to basics. I'm also a big fan of Body Glide and Gold Bond for all of your chafing needs. Makes the world of difference. And because of said chafing, I usually don't run with a shirt, but if I was going to, something like this will do the trick just fine. And that color will help you not get hit by a car. Last but not least, staying hydrated is very important, turns out. Here's what I would recommend, something like this or like this. Here's what I actually use because I'm cheap and I wasn't sure if this hobby was going to stick, so I didn't feel like spending the money. But again, I would grab something more like this. All right, made it to chapter 4. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is my least favorite chapter and just general thing about running, following a nutrition plan. And when I say plan, this is what I followed 24 to 48 hours before long runs. 24 hours before, I would get up and have usually an egg and some toast. Proteins and carbs. At lunch, I would do something like this, more or less a burrito bowl. You have salad, turkey meat, a little tomato, and some avocado. Or sometimes I'd have an omelet too. And then the dinner before a long run, this is when you're gonna carb up for real. I would mainly just have a small salad and then noodles with butter, salt, Parmesan cheese. I just would stay away from sauces altogether. That's just me. And then the morning is when I would do all of my long runs. I would have overnight oats. If you've never had overnight oats, it's just oatmeal that you make the night before. It sits overnight, and then it turns out like this. I put peanut butter, honey, chia seeds, and craisins. And I would normally just use water, but milk is preferred. And I would eat these overnight oats about an hour and a half before my long run. And I would also consume around 20 ounces of water. That's an important one. Sometimes I just would run out the door after eating, and you spend most of the run just trying to keep the food down. So I recommend at least an hour or two to let the food digest before your long runs. Just a word to the wise. Also, staying on the track of nutrition and long runs. I prefer not to run with anything in my hands, but you're gonna need to stay hydrated on those further distances. So one of my water bottles had just water in it while the other had electrolytes. I prefer Nuns, N-U-N-N. Not sure how to pronounce it, but they work well. And then to make sure I have sugars and carbs while I'm running to fuel up, I use e-gels. E-gels are from Crank Sports. These are, I know that probably never heard of them before. They're on the rise. Trust me, they're newer, so I was a little hesitant to give them a try, but they worked amazing for me. If you want to give them a go, I got a referral code right here. I would take those about every 45 minutes to an hour, and they were incredible and boosted my energy. Okay, that's it for nutrition. Sorry, I know that's the boring part, but it's a part that a lot of people overlook, and it makes a world of difference. Now we have made it to race day, October 9th, 2022. I was definitely feeling the nerves as this was my first marathon. It did help though to talk to a lot of different people that had already ran marathons, just to put my mind at ease that everything was gonna be fine, I wasn't gonna die. Also to give me the realistic fact that it was going to suck. Not the whole thing, but there would be parts that would be rough. The race was at 6 a.m. in Long Beach. Didn't really sleep a lot the night before, but I did get all of my stuff prepped, ready, and finally closed my eyes around 10 p.m. I was out of bed at about 3:45, which gave me plenty of time to eat, hydrate, and head down for the race. We made it to the starting line with about 1,800 other marathon runners. There are 15,000 people total that run the race, but the rest of them are half marathoners. And they start about an hour and a half after the marathoners. So the countdown went off like this. And I mean, sort of anticlimactic because you kind of just have to walk until there's enough space. But we got to running. I actually ran my first 10 or 15 miles with just running buddies that I found along the way. I was social and just started up conversations. And the first half was good. It was easy. It was fun. This is kind of what I looked like on the first half, just all cheers and smiles. And then it went downhill a little bit, you know? I started getting just, I don't know, tired. I was staying hydrated.
You're doing so good.
Bananas, sucking down electrolytes, but that's just a lot of miles any way you look at it. But from mileage around 19 to about 24, I pushed through those, and then I was close enough at 24 to realize that I was gonna finish, it was gonna be great, and so I kind of caught a second wind. I mean, my feet still felt like they were about 100 pounds apiece, but made it through, crossed the finish line, and it was honestly a pretty euphoric feeling. Had been training for 3 months straight for that moment, and I made it under the coveted 4-hour mark. So that was a really big accomplishment for me. I got my medal, got all my free snacks and drinks, and I was feeling, you know, obviously super tired, but really good at the same time. Pretty much went straight to In-N-Out for a killer cheat meal. It wasn't even a cheat meal. This was a celebratory, not have to worry about diet and nutrition meal. It's It's been about 5 days now, and I'll say my muscles are about back to normal, but my joints are really still sore. But I just continue icing, ibuprofen, rolling the muscles out, and I should be good here in a few days. So overall, running a marathon, super really cool, challenging, eye-opening experience. Just kind of shows you how sticking to a training plan, setting goals, staying disciplined pays off in the long run. Long run. It's funny. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I will say, if you're watching this as a possible, maybe interested running marathon runner, I highly recommend it. Again, I didn't consider myself a runner before this, and I completed it. I finished a marathon. So I'd say you can too. Simple as that. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments, or just want to say hi. I'm down for that too. And as always, go ahead and subscribe. We'll have more content, maybe not exactly like this, but similar vibe, something different every time with us. Okay, I think that's all. See you guys.